If you're new to the Disney Lorcana trading card game, then you're just like me just a few months ago. So I started playing back in January of 2025, and I ran into some issues with a lot of videos being a little too complicated for someone who this was my first trading card game. So I didn't come from Magic, I didn't come from Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon, where a lot of people did, and I think that it's pretty easy for a transition for those players to come over and then learn how to play and kind of understand some of the comparisons that there are. For me and for a couple of my friends, we were starting from scratch. So some of those videos that are out there, while they're very informative, it's sometimes too much and it can get overwhelming. So I wanted to show some of the resources that are out there without really getting into the gameplay at all. Just show the resources. I'm going to link them in the description. These are the ones that helped me the most and made me feel comfortable going from not knowing the game to now playing in person, going to set championships and all of that within a month of playing. So it shouldn't be that daunting. It's actually really, really fun in person. It's a really fun game to play. And hopefully this video will be helpful for some of you just navigating that and feeling comfortable playing the game before you go play in person. So I'll show you some of the resources. And you'll see my Twitch overlay here. I just didn't want to change it. If you want to watch me on Twitch, I did start streaming. I've been practicing gameplay in some of the decks that I'm using. On Twitch, my username is just Gherkin, whereas on YouTube, it's Gherkin's TCG. So you can find me at Gherkin on Twitch TV. So the first resource I wanted to go over is the Gateway. This is really easy to find for really cheap. I think the MSRP on this was quite a bit higher, but you can find it for between like $9 and $12 really often. What's really nice about this, and I had one friend that used this to learn the game with his fiance. What was really nice about this is it teaches you the game in stages. So you'll play, only with the basics, and then you'll add cards in, and they have videos for you, I believe, for each step. And then you go each step and kind of learn one more piece of it. So if you learn better systematically like that, kind of play your way through it, read the instructions, make sure that you can do one thing at a time, and then move on to the next. This actually is really good. I remember when I first saw it, I thought it might be gimmicky, but after talking to that couple, it seems like it worked really well, and they were able to play the game really well too. So this is one of the resources. You can find it basically everywhere. I mean, this is on Target. Um, Here's another one that's on Walmart. This one's $9.99. You can see it says usually it's $24. It's almost never 24. I wouldn't pay that. I even believe on Amazon you can get it for a lot cheaper. The other path you can go down is starter decks. These are kind of hit or miss as far as how good the deck is. What's nice about this is it does come with a pack that you can add some cards from the pack into the deck. One of the basics of uh, Lorcana TCG is you can only use two of the ink colors in each one of your decks. So they explain that in the gateway, and if you start playing, you'll kind of understand that a little bit. But basically, you can have up to two different colors in a deck. So if it's red and blue like this one, you could open this pack, and if there's any red and blue cards in there that you think are better than a card that's in there already, you can trade those out and test with them. These are pretty good for just having a starter deck that's a complete starter deck, and then just playing with someone at home. These aren't decks that I would bring to a local tournament or your local card shop, just because they're not that competitive at all. But between each other, they're pretty good. It's pretty good for learning the game, especially if you're playing multiple people. So one of the ways that you can play this, a lot of times when you go to a store, it's just 1v1. When you're playing at home, you can play it with three, four people. And it actually feels more like a board game when you play it that way. And it can be a lot less daunting because you're playing with multiple people. Any mistakes that you're making, it kind of gets, hidden in that everyone's kind of making the same mistakes. And, you're just playing with a bunch of friends all at once. So it feels a lot more like a board game. And it feels, I don't want to say cutthroat, but a little bit less, if you make a mistake, it kind of changes everything for you. So that's the starter decks. You can look up. This is the Illumiteer. So again, I'm not affiliated with any of these people. These are just the videos and the resources that I found were really helpful for me. They do a really good job of breaking down some of the starter decks and what's good about it and what isn't. Some of it might be over your head, but just the way that they play might be something that you gain from this if you find a certain deck that kind of plays the way that you were hoping for. This video might be helpful, so I'll link to this as well. They do a really good job of breaking this stuff down, and I really like their content quite a bit. Actually, I'll subscribe while I'm here. The next one I wanted to go over is, so there's two videos that I found. So I kind of scoured the internet looking for videos that helped me. And like I said, a lot of them felt overly complicated when explaining this. So if you don't go the gateway route, even if you buy a starter deck, watching these videos would probably be the most helpful way to learn how to play. So basically, this is one of the co-designers, Ryan Miller, just explaining the game. So there's a lot of history in this. It's 34 minutes. There's a lot of history. There's explaining the game, and you can see some gameplay. I don't think that this one's the best way to learn it because it's just a lot of information. It feels like an information dump. Once you learn it a little bit more and you go back and watch, I think it's more helpful too. But it is a good watch if it's something that you want to see kind of the idea behind the game and even some backstory behind it and how the turns go. Watch somebody play a game. This was really helpful for me just watching someone actually playing the game. The next one that's really good. So again, I looked through as many of the how to play the game videos as possible, and the one that I found that helped the most was this one by Inkborn Heroes. Again, I'll subscribe to them. So this one's the how to play Disney Lorcana, a beginner's guide to start your first match. So what's really good about this is it's only 10 minutes long, and it really breaks down each part of the game in a way that's easily digested. Now, what I did find, again, as a brand new TCG player, something that's hard about this is you'll be getting it, and then all of a sudden, for me anyway, it felt like too much information, and now I just kind of lose it all. So this is something you can go back to a couple times because they really do a good job of giving you basically all the info you need to play a game. Um, what I would even say is if you get kind of halfway through to the point where it's like, oh, I could play a game with the knowledge that I have and at least get through the game and find a winner without doing a lot of the extra stuff. You can do that, play through a couple games, and then watch the end of the video again, and then understand some of the extra abilities that some of the cards have and how they work. One of the things that I did with my wife when I was first learning how to play is we ignored the text. So I don't know if this is the best way to play, but you can see on here, there's some text underneath that has, special abilities and things that the card does. For someone new to a TCG, this felt like a lot to me. What's really important, and again, if you watch the videos, you'll understand this, but like this up here is how much the card costs to play. This is its strength. This is how much defense it has or willpower. And then this is the lore symbol. So this is what you're trying to accumulate to win the game. If you you can play through a game with just using this stuff and not worry about any of this. If you can get through a couple games that way, then you can go back and then start reading the cards and adding this in and stop pretending like the text doesn't exist. So it was helpful for us just to learn how to play through a game. But again, based on how you learn is going to be the complete determination of which one of these paths is kind of the easiest for you. So again, I'll link this down in the description. I think that as far as videos go, and again, no affiliation, I wasn't even sub to them before this. As far as videos that explain this, this is, in my opinion, the best one that's out there. And again, I've watched as many as I possibly could, and I kept getting lost. This was one of the ones that was really helpful. And again, the one with the co-designer Ryan Miller, this was another one that was, I thought, just phenomenal for getting you over the hump of being able to feel like you could at least play a game, even with just the starter decks. All of that said, if you get through all of this and you don't have somebody to play with, one of the best resources, I would even say if you have someone to play with, if you're trying to branch over to playing in person, or you just don't have the confidence to play against somebody else yet because you just don't feel like you know the rules, one of the best resources, I would even say the most helpful resource, is Inktable.net. So if you go down, go to Inktable.net, here is Lorcana, so they have a bunch of the other games as well. Click Lorcana and then Quick Match. And it's just, you can see up here, it says play a single match against AI. Now, the AI isn't very good, but it's way better than I expected. So it's not going to mimic the, plays that a player will make because there's some very high level players. that use the decks in a way that is efficient as possible. AI can only do so much, but it is helpful, and it can be difficult to beat when you're first starting. So you can at least get over that first curve of really learning how the play works. So if you go to quick match, you can see in here, so under here are all the decks. You can see all the official starter decks. So if you land on a deck that you really want to play, or you want to just test out some of the starter decks before you buy one, you could go down here. One of the ones that I like a lot is this um, Amber Amethyst deck, just because they're very fast and they're very easy to play. By fast, I mean it's kind of a quick game for you and it's very straightforward. So if you click on one of these and then click Select Player 1, and then let's click on, I'll just click on the Amethyst Ruby and then select player 2, and you can see the deck list is here and you can see all the cards that are in there as well. So now I'm player 1, so I know I'll be using this. Player 2 is this one here. You can choose some basic information, behavior. I would just leave it on default, but when you start testing out some of the decks, and you want them to play like they play. So if you're playing against like an aggro deck, which means they're trying to get to the end of the game as quick as possible, um, you can click on aggro so that it plays in that way and it plays more like a player would play. Control is the other side where it's longer games and they're trying to stop you from doing what you're doing and then they win in that way. So if you're playing, if you choose a deck that you want to see when it's playing a control version of that deck, you can change the AI for this. But I would just leave it on default if you're starting. And then for starting player, I would just pick you starting first and then go from there. The only real difference between these two is if you pick two-player start, it means that the Amethyst Ruby would go first, and then they don't draw a card on their first turn, and then you would draw a card on your first turn, and then every turn after you each draw a card. So let's just start with us starting, and then let me here. I need to get rid of this ad. There we go. Okay, so you can see your hand. You get dealt 7 cards, and you can hover over them, and it shows you each one of the cards here. Um, I'm just going to pick some cards to mulligan. So basically, you see if you click on them, it shades them out like this. So if you click on them like this, it'll shade out the ones that you want to send back into the deck. And then you just click done. It puts them all back into the deck, and then it gives you a new 5 cards, and then the game starts. So without having to understand what it is that I'm doing, it kind of shows you on the side here what options you have. Basically, you only have an option to ink a card or pass. And again, once you know more about the game, you'll understand what this means. But this is really nice as far as training wheels go because I know that I have to ink a card before I can do anything. So let's just pick this card here. And then now the only option I have is play a card or pass. So I'm going to play a card. And it even highlights the only card that I'm able to play. So again, these are really good as far as training wheels go in trying to understand how to play and just get through turns. So I would click this one, it plays the card, and my only option is to pass. I pass, and then I wait for the opponent's turn. You can leave this on 2 times speed or 1 time speed. I have it on 2 just so the games go a little bit quicker. But then it's your turn, it automatically draws for you. That was the stitch that it just put in. And then again, you can quest or ink, those are your options. So if I wanted to play the next turn, I could ink a card, then play a card. Again, it only shows me these 2 cards I'm able to play. So I'll play Stitch. The only option I have is to quest. It highlights this card, and then you can quest with it. And then my only option is to pass. So again, even without knowing the rules of the game, you could probably get through a game playing it this way. You just wouldn't know what you were doing. So I would totally watch the videos that are here or play with the starter decks. Even if you just watch these videos though and then play on Inktable, that's a really good way to go. Now, if you're trying to or go to the next step, or you want to build a deck yourself, which could be a little bit more complicated, or just play against a deck that you've seen online, that's something that I would say before you go out and play in person. Finding a content creator online that plays a type of deck that you like or it seems to fit your brain is a good thing to do. And then you can even go onto this website, Dreamborn. So dreamborn.inc. If you go to this tab here for decks and then popular, You can see all popular decks, but you can also click over here on the ink combination that you wanted to play. So say again, I wanted to do Amber and Amethyst, just like that starter deck, but I want to get one that's actually competitive. You can go to Archetype and go, for this, it would be aggro is what I would be chasing for this color combination. Again, you don't need to know that. But if you get to this point where you're just trying to look for something that seems like what you want to play, but something that might work in person, you could do this and then click on one of these. So let's just click on the top one here. And you can see all the cards that are in here for this deck, how many of them there are. It gives you some stats. You'll learn about what this symbol means, and it just means that they're uninkable. But if you go to view, you can change the layout to see the cards. And then what's really nice about this, so what I love most about Dreamborn is it does link to Inktable, so you can test it. So if you wanted to test this deck, you can go to export and then to play on Inktable. It'll open up a window for Inktable and it makes this one player one. And then so you could play it against your other one that you were playing before, make that one player two, start the game, and now your deck is that one that you just found on Dreamborn. And this one's probably considerably more efficient. I can tell even just looking at it, it's considerably more efficient than the starter deck would ever be. So you could see, how quickly you could win a game with this and start some of the interactions. So I will put all of this into the description below. I have thought about making a very simple tutorial on just what the cards are, kind of what I was talking about as far as just playing without by avoiding the text. If you don't want to get the game or the gateway and you just want the simplest instructions on how to play, that might be something that's helpful. So if you think that that would be helpful to break it down even further than some of these really good videos have and keep it real basic and kind of step by step, I can do that, but just let me know in the comments. And if you don't mind, if you like the video, please subscribe and like the video. And then if you can, go leave me a follow on Twitch as well under Gherkin. I would really appreciate it. You can tell by the overlay that I was still, um, trying to get to affiliate, which is 50 followers there. So anything helps. But I do play against one of my buddies that's a newer player as well. We're just trying to figure out the game and do as best as we can when we play at locals. So that's been really fun. So I hope that this is really helpful for you, and I hope to see you in the comments or on Twitch. Thank you. Bye.